Okay, I would like to welcome everyone to today's parent workshop. I'm going to ask our interpreters to please read the interpretation instructions. I will open it up to the Chinese interpreter first. I don't think you're unmuted on Zoom. I hear you on the phone line, but not on Zoom.
Do you want to hear me both or just on Zoom? Sorry.
Well, most of the parents haven't joined your line yet, so this is where you'll
On
make the
Zoom.
announcement here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
Yep.
Sorry.
Well, no,
All
it's
right.
no problem.
请您拨打翻译服务热线并输入正确的 ID 并获取翻译服务。电话号码为347-966-4114。电话号码为347-966-4114。中文请输入编码214-646-705，井号键。214-646-705，请输入，务必输入井号键。注意事项也会写在我们的聊天记录中。Mandarin concluded.
Thank you very much. And can I please have the Spanish interpreter read the instructions?
Sure. Si desea interpretación en español simultánea en español, marcar el 347-966-4114, luego ingrese el número que es 460-166-999 con el signo numeral al final. Por favor, recuerde mantener el micrófono de sus dispositivos en silencio para evitar el ruido de fondo y así garantizar la mejor calidad del sonido durante la interpretación. Una vez más, el número es 347-966-4114, seguido por el número de ID, es el 460-166-999, numeral. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'll turn over to Dr. Mike to say a few words before we get started.
Yes, thank you, Louis. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our session tonight, which is dedicated to focusing on Acadience and the second round of screeners that our children just engaged in. We still may have a handful of children that still have yet to test, as we have a couple more days left in the window. But tonight's presentation is really important for you as parents to get an idea of what this assessment does assess our second graders on, and more importantly, how you can help support them at home. I know it's always the question, well, what can I do? How can I make sure that I'm helping my child? And what you're going to hear from Arefa and Danielle, thank you, by the way, for extending this opportunity to our community. But what you're going to hear from Danielle and Arefa tonight is what this assessment actually entails and then how to support your children. Because we don't have a tremendously large group tonight, it also creates an opportunity for a lot of those questions that you may have to be answered by our team members who are experts in this. And I encourage you, if you are joining and you do have those questions, please make sure you add them to the chat or when the opportunity is provided later on in the session to come off that mute and ask them out loud, as it might help support one of our other parents that's here as well. So again, thank you for joining, and I'm hoping you find tonight's session informative. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Arefa and Danielle.
Thank you, Dr. Mike. So we're going to get started this evening. So today we're going to be focusing on Acadience Reading Parent Workshop, and today we're going to be discussing understanding the middle of the year data for our second grade students. As Dr. Mike just mentioned earlier, our second grade students have almost finished their middle of the year assessments with their students and with the teachers. And some of you may have received a document at home about the information. So today we're going to be talking about what information is going to be on that document that you might receive, or you may be receiving it towards the end of this week. So you might have gotten it, and you may be getting it pretty soon. So we're going to be talking to you about what's going to be on that information on that document. So what is Acadience Reading Assessment? So every student in kindergarten, first grade, and in second grade are tested 3 times during the year using Acadience Reading. So the purpose of this assessment is to monitor your child's development in reading, to identify students needing additional help, and to guide the teacher's classroom instruction. It is not used to grade your child. So Acadience Reading testing skills are necessary for learning how to read. So children who learn these skills become really good readers. So one of the great things about this assessment is that we are seeing the development over time of our students from kindergarten to first grade to second grade. So some of the skills that they've been learning in kindergarten and first grade and they are applying in second grade are phonemic awareness. We're hearing and using the sounds in spoken words. what they've been learning in kindergarten, in first grade, as well as in second grade, is phonics, knowing the sounds of the letters and sounding out written words. Especially in second grade right now, we are really focused on accurate and fluent reading. We're reading stories and other materials easily and quickly with few mistakes. And we're also going to be focusing on reading comprehension, understanding what is being read. And these are the skills that are going to be focused on in second grade at this point of the school year. So what is Acadience reading? Each skill is approximately 1 minute and is administered 1-to-1. Each test is an indicator of how well a child is doing in learning a particular early reading skill. The scores tell us whether a child is likely to be on track for learning to read or whether a child may need some additional help in learning important reading skills. Your child's teacher will use this information along with other class information to better help your child. So some of the things that are going to be helping your child in second grade that we use every day in the classroom, we are using
I'm sorry. The interpreter, can you just give slow down a little bit because I
Sure.
didn't get finish the last part of the
No
slide.
problem.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. So part of the classroom learning that happens every day in early literacy skills are related to Haggerty, which is the phonemic awareness, which we're listening and hearing for sounds, and foundations, where we're using those sounds that we're learning and applying it to reading and to writing words in English. So these daily lessons help us learn to see how well our students are gaining that early literacy foundational skills. So what is tested in second grade? So here in the time of the year, we're in the middle of the year. So the middle of the year finished up on Friday. Some of our students are still finishing up this week. And what is being tested is oral reading fluency. So what does that entail? We are including accurate and fluent reading. We're also taking a look at the reading comprehension, our students understanding what they're reading. So we're going to be taking a look at these three components in the middle of the year to see how our students are doing and how well and how accurate, how fluent, and how well their comprehension is happening during the middle of the year.
That lawsuit is still running through the court system.
So in second grade, our students are going to be assessed in oral reading fluency. During oral reading fluency, one of the things we're going to be taking a look at is words correct. So when we're looking at words correct, a student is going to be reading a passage that looks similar to this. Here, a student has 1 minute to read a passage. At the end of that 1 minute, a few items gets calculated all at the same time. So here, with the reading fluency, we're looking to see, are they reading accurately? Are they reading at an appropriate rate? Are they reading with expression and attend to punctuation? Are they adjusting their pacing accordingly to text difficulty? So here's a sample of what it looks like when the student is reading the passage, and it's a sample of what the teacher is doing while they're hearing the student is reading the passage. When we take a look, the first aspect that gets calculated after the student engages in the oral reading fluency passage is to find out the words correct. Words correct helps us understand how automatic the student can recognize and read the word correctly. We calculate words correct by finding out how many total words were read in the minute and subtract it from the errors of the words they did not say correctly. In this story that we're looking on the screen, the student read a total of 73 words in 1 minute. While they were reading those words in 1 minute, they made 15 errors while reading the story. So a quick math calculation. So 73 take away 15 gives us 58 words correctly read in 1 minute. The goal for students to be considered meeting the needs of words correct, that means their automaticity, while reading the passage in 1 minute is to read 72 words or more correct in 1 minute. The next aspect while they're reading this particular passage is we're taking a look at their accuracy. So the student, again, within the 1 minute of reading that passage, we're checking to see how many words they read correctly. We're also checking to see their accuracy. So their accuracy is involved with advanced phonics and word attack skills. So when they're looking at advanced phonics and word attack skills, there are a lot of things that come into play. So are they reading diagraphs correctly? Are they reading short and long vowel patterns correctly? Are they reading R-controlled vowels in words with more than one syllable? Are they able to decode words with common word parts such as prefixes, suffixes, and root words? And can they decode grade level multisyllabic words? So using this sample that we're seeing here on our screen, we're going to show you how that is being calculated of finding out what is the accuracy of the student when they're having this passage in front of them. So when the accuracy that's also being calculated, we're looking to see how correct they are when they're reading the story. Accuracy helps us understand if the student is using their knowledge of phonics and word attack skills to help read the words that are on the page. This is a lot of learning that comes into play from foundations when they engage in that program every day. They are having a lot of time learning about phonics and word attack skills. Using this story, we will use the information of the total words read, the errors made, and the words correct to determine the accuracy. So we have a math equation that comes along with this. So we're going to be taking a look at the words correct. We're going to make sure we divide the words correct with the errors, and we're going to multiply that by 100. So what does that mean? In this particular story, our student read 58 words correct. We're going to make sure to have that math equation also include the 58 words that were correct with the errors. When we do that math equation, we find out in this particular instance, this student was 79% accurate while reading this passage. The goal for students to be considered meeting the needs of accuracy, which is meeting the needs of phonics and word attack skills while reading the passage in 1 minute, is 96% or higher. So this particular student currently is not being as accurate as they need to be in the middle of the year to meet the benchmark. This particular student is getting 79% accuracy when in the middle of the year, we're aiming for our students to be 96% accurate or higher. The last thing that comes into play when they're reading the passage is giving a retell. So here, the student, when they're reading the passage, we're calculating the number of words that are correct. We're also taking a look at their accuracy, and we're also taking a look to see, are they understanding what they're reading? So within the reading comprehension, answer questions that are literal and answers that are not in the story. So we're asking questions that are in the story, where the answers are in the story, and we're asking questions where the answers are not in the story. We're hoping that they can explain the main idea. We're looking for them to summarize a narrative or expository, which is a nonfiction passage. We're retelling everything that one can from a narrative or expository passage and identifying the sequence of events. So we're really trying to see, are they reading the words accurately? Are they reading it fluently? And are they understanding the text that they're reading? So in this particular instance, we're going to take a look to see how we can calculate their retell. So this is the third aspect that we're going to calculate while we're looking at their oral reading fluency passage that they read. The retell or the comprehension helps us understand if the student can remember the information that happened in the passage. The teacher will keep track of the amount of words that the student uses to retell the story. The words that will be considered matching the information in the story will only count. Words and phrases that repeat over and over do not count. The goal for students to be considered meeting the needs of the retell or the comprehension while reading the passage in 1 minute is to have 21 words or more in the retell. So again, when the students are reading these passages, we're looking for 3 big buckets of information. How many words are they reading correctly? How accurate are they being while they're reading the passage? And are they able to communicate to their teacher a retell with comprehension of understanding what they read and hoping to meet the benchmark goal of having 21 words or more to explain the story that they just read. So now I'm going to turn it over to Danielle to explain what we can do at home to help our students in this area. Sorry. Oh, sorry, one more part. I apologize. The last item, I apologize, is we're going to be also considering how well is their retell. So if they're giving us 2 details, we get 1 point. If the student gives us 3 or more details, we get 2 points. If they provide 3 or more details in a meaningful sequence, they get 3 points. And if they have 3 or more details in a meaningful sequence, and captures the main idea, they get 4 points. So we're really taking a look to see how much information they're telling us and is it matching the information from the text that they're reading. So again, 2 points. So 1 point for 2 details, 2 points for 3 or more details, 3 points for 3 or more details with a meaningful sequence, and 4 points for 3 or more details with a meaningful sequence and the main idea. And the quality, we're going to be also measuring that is the quality of the retell response, is we're going to look for our students to get at least 2 points, giving us 3 details or more from the passage that they just read. Now I will turn it over to Danielle to help us explain how we can help our 2nd grade students at home in literacy.
Thank you, Arefa. Now that you know what your child is being assessed on, we can align it to things that you can do at home that will help them reach mastery. The student should read short text to you out loud and then share what they read in their own words, retelling what they read, making sure that they are capturing the main idea and explaining the events in detail. Another thing that you can do is you can read aloud books together. Have your child read books that interest them. Have them read to you or take turns reading so that they could hear fluent reading. And if you are reading with them, this will allow for discussion about the text. And when you are discussing the text, be sure to ask your child some questions about the story to dig deeper into their thinking and comprehension about things like the main idea and what the characters are doing or what new details we are learning that require them to dig a little deeper. As Arefa mentioned, one of the curriculums that your child engages in every day is Foundations. Foundations is where they learn phonics. These resources on the next couple of slides all come from the phonics program. They are familiar to your child. Each of these posters have the titles underlined. When you click on them, they bring you to a YouTube video. The video will go through how your child is taught these sounds with matching keywords to learn them. So for example, for a glued sound, the sound that the letters together make the word all. The teacher teaches it to the students as saying A-L-L, ball, all. So it's the letters, it's the keyword, it's the sound. They do the same thing. This starts all the way in kindergarten and progresses in difficulty up through the 2nd and 3rd grade. So if you, we will be sharing the slides with you. You will have these videos for reference so that even if you aren't aware of these sounds or how to use the keywords, you can play the video for your child to do. The next slide has some more vowel sounds. These are where your child right now in grade 2 is learning not just the basic short sound of the vowels, but the vowel sounds when they are long and some of the exceptions to the rules. So like you see for letter A, there are 3 different sounds that the letter A can make in words. There are 3 different sounds and spellings for each of the, and for you, there are even more. So again, the video of this drilling of these letters and sounds is included at the top of this slide for you. It is really great practice for your child to use at home. This page has R-controlled vowels and vowel teams. As you see, just like on the previous slides, there is a picture and a keyword for every one of the sounds and spellings. Some of them get tricky for our students, so having the option to play these videos at home for them and having them repeat like they do with their teacher in school is really good practice. If your child's teacher says that they still need to review these things. Another resource from Foundations are these home support letters. Hopefully you have seen these. Many teachers send them home at the beginning of every new unit of study. These letters explain to you, the family, what your child is learning in phonics in that unit. Some units are 3 weeks, some are only 2 weeks. It varies. The letter will tell you what the main learning for those weeks of study are. And it will also give you some work that you can do at home to help your child master these new concepts in the unit. So you see on the slide here, we have the letter, and they have 2 different activities that can be done to help your child understanding the concepts being learned. Decodable texts are texts that are being used every day with our students in the classroom after the phonics or foundations lesson. What the students are learning in foundations, they are then applying into these texts. Many of you have probably seen some of these black and white books coming home in your child's folder. Oops, sorry. Thank you. In school, the child has practiced this book multiple times. They generally are using the same book for 5 days. Once the story comes home, it can be used for your child to then practice their reading. We're working on accuracy and fluency. The story will have all of the phonics patterns and any other sight words or common words in it that your child has already learned. So you know when you see these books coming home that your child has read the book multiple times with their teacher and they have learned the skills needed to read all of the words in that book. So these decodable texts are the best reading material that you can use to see if your child is keeping up with their knowledge of these skills. Now, in Acadience, there is a parent report available after every testing window. Some of you may have received a parent report. So, some schools are just printing them out now. If for some reason you do not get a parent report for the Acadience test, you can request one from your child's teacher. So I just want to go through what that parent report looks like. So here we have a graph for the ORF reading, the oral reading fluency. This graph shows the benchmark score, the goal score that Arefa had talked about, is indicated by the straight line. And the dot on the graph indicates where your child scored. So on this particular student, I should say, they are scoring above the goal, above the benchmark in both words correct and their accurate reading. If the child was scoring below that goal benchmark, then that dot would be below the line. Another part of the parent report is where they give you the reading composite score. The reading composite score is a combination of all of the scores together and gives you an overall score for all of the measures. So like Arefa said, for the oral reading fluency, there are 3 components. It was the words correct, accuracy, and retell. So all 3 measures together gives us this reading composite score. The reading composite goal for the middle of the year is 366. So you'll see here the beginning of the year, 285 is the goal. The child scored a 366. I'm sorry. Thank you, Arefa, right where Arefa is pointing. So you can see that the goal benchmark score increases in all measures from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year to the end of the year. So this will tell you if your child is on track for their overall reading proficiency and they are likely to meet their later reading goals, or if your child is not on track and will likely need more support. So again, if you haven't gotten a parent report for Acadience, you can request one from your child's teacher. And that concludes tonight's session. We hope that you found it helpful and that you gained some valuable information. On this screen here, you see we did this workshop after the beginning of the year assessment. Now this is the middle of the year assessment. We will do another session for after the end of the year assessment in June, where we will talk about the things that you can do to help your child then moving into the summer based on their testing results. So you can save these slides and visit the website on the page to register, or you can use that QR code to scan and register. You can register right now, and then you will get calendar reminders of the event when it comes closer to June. If you want to make sure that you don't forget, feel free to register now, and then you will get follow-up email reminders after that. Again, we thank you so much for coming. We're going to ask the interpreters if there are any questions in their room, and we will ask here if anyone has any questions that have not been answered.
Hacer?
Hi.
On the Spanish line, there's no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No question from the Mandarin line.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
So are
And-
there any questions in our in the Zoom room,
Yep.
in our Zoom meeting? Does anyone have any questions around any of the slides that we discussed today?
Lewis, can we just drop the link for the slides too?
I will, yep, I'll do it right now.
Thank you. So Lewis is going to also drop the slides into the chat for you so that you can ensure that you have them especially for access to the videos that we
videos.
talked about and the suggested activities that you can do at home. If you know any friends, neighbors, family who have students in the 2nd grade and you think that this information is something that they would find helpful, we encourage you to share with them. And this session was also recorded and will be emailed to you.
Are there any questions, guys, on anything?
No questions.
Was there a question?
No, no questions in Spanish either.
Okay, great.
That
All right,
means
well,
that
thank you
means
again,
your slides were
everyone.
so good.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you found it helpful. Reach out to your child's teacher for that parent report if you don't get one.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. Have a great
Yes.
evening.
Okay, you too. Nice job. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle and Arefa.
Thank you.
Thank
Pat,
you.
Important before you go,
Thank
just
you.
make sure that you're connecting with your child's school so that you are fully aware of how your child's performing. Really super important at this point of the school year to do that.
And make sure you get that report.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.